These are getting hard to make. I'm running out of VR games to play, man. Make more games, please!
This is a story, I promise it's true. A tale of a crafty old robbery crew. They could clean any safe in a minute or two. They had hit every bank and post office too.
Welcome back once again. Seemingly, this is becoming an annual series where I just talk about all the VR games I played throughout the year. Earlier in the year, I made a thread on my Twitter account, but since that account is now protected and dead, follow my blue sky please, I decided to, in fact, actually make this video, with the least amount of time left in the year so far. The main reason I didn't want to make this video was because, at the time, I didn't really feel like I played enough games to warrant an entire video. But the more I think about it, the more I realize I played a lot. So, with the obligatory major spoiler warning, if I don't forget, there will be timestamps for each of the games in the video, so you can skip a game you haven't played yet. Why not get into it, shall we? Back during the infancy of VR, a little game called Arizona Sunshine released. It was innovative. While not being the first story game for the medium, it certainly was the first one that looked the way it did. For 2016 VR, it looked incredible. It truly was a wonder of the time. And I never finished it. I didn't like it. I found it boring, and a zombie game being boring just didn't work for me. So when I heard that it was getting a sequel, I kinda just ignored it for a while. That was until I actually saw gameplay, and goddammit, I'd be lying if I said the dog didn't pull me into playing it. And so I did. And, well, I really liked it. The dog is the best part, but the story is interesting and fun to be a part of. The zombies are way better in the sequel, and killing them is just, oh my god, it's perfect. It's the closest we'll get to Dead Island 2 combat in VR, I think. But the game isn't all sunshine and rainbows, unfortunately. The protagonist is annoying. That's all I can call him. And that's a subjective thing, but I personally don't really think any of the jokes he made landed for me. The voice actor did a phenomenal job. I didn't dislike the character because he was acted poorly. I disliked the character because I believe his personality sucks. I was able to finish this game, however, and later bits like the dream sequence with the zombie on the scaffolding and the dog giving you a really gross ragdoll hand to play fetch with are wonderful. It's not the best game I played this year, but it certainly wasn't the worst. In fact, it was one of the better ones. For the people who didn't skip this section, give it a try instead of spoiling yourself, you bitch.
My alarm clock. Oh, whoa. Good morning there, ugly. Well, all right. I guess I'll do the nice thing here, Fred. Put you out of your misery. Now, where is my gun? Locked and loaded. Guess this is it, Fred.
After finishing Arizona Sunshine 2, I felt a change of heart for the original. I wanted to give it another try, and since they had already announced that a full remake of the original game was on the horizon, I waited. I bought it, played it, and even finished it. And it was okay. There was no dog, so it was instantly not as good as the original. The zombie killing was still wonderful. The main character was actually less annoying in the original game, so that was nice. The set pieces were fun, but the story was just as boring as I remember it being. Not a bad game by any stretch of the word, but I don't believe I'll ever play it again. And yes, I tried to play the DLCs, but I got soft-locked in the damned DLC, and it just completely drained all my motivation to finish it. For sure not as good as the sequel, but again, not the worst game I played this year. I was excited for this one. You have no idea how hard it is to get me excited for a game release, let alone a VR game release. When the original Stride came out, I was actively returning to my Mirror's Edge phase. It was absolutely perfect timing. And when I got my hands on that game, I loved it. I didn't play it all that much, but when I needed a little physical pick-me-up, that's the game I ran to. It was my Beat Saber. When I bought the game, I was promised a full campaign, and I was excited for that too. It's why I was so upset to learn that a sequel was being made before those ideas came to be. Then I was told that I was getting the sequel for free because of that very reason, which I would like to say is an absolutely amazing thing that dev team did. Incredibly generous. So needless to say, I was hyped. After I had finished another game on this list, I was all out of games to play for the time, and I was dead set on Stride 2 being the VR game I would play after. The Quest version released before the PC version, and that's when the reviews started pouring in. And I was upset to see what they were saying. I almost didn't believe them. In fact, I didn't believe them at all. VR reviewers are usually extremely critical, so it's gotta just be that, right? I kept my head held high, and I waited for my Steam key. And while I got the key... Yeah, I sure did get that key. Okay, I obviously don't like this game very much. It's the letdown of the year for me. It's a huge shame, too, but it's just a slog. The story is just the right amount of nothing to be impossible to pay attention to, but also just the right amount of important to be required to pay attention to, or you have no idea what to do or where to go. The perfect controls of the original have been sterilized and made actively worse. While still being the best part of the game, they feel like an imitation of the original rather than an expansion upon them. The game looks fine. It certainly looks better than the original, but compared to games like Arizona Sunshine 2, it looks like a 2016 VR game. The combat is nothing. Absolutely nothing. I wasn't expecting blatant sorcery levels of combat here, but come on. Something would have been nice. Stride Fates was giving me flashbacks of Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Just like that game, Stride Fates fails to capture the spirit and feeling of the original Stride in almost all aspects, feeling like a cheap imitation rather than an expansion of the formula and franchise. Which is even weirder because Stride Fates is by definition bigger than its predecessor. I truly do not understand how the ball was dropped so hard on this project, and it makes me extremely sad. I've heard recent updates make the game better, but I just have this really bad taste in my mouth, and I just don't want to pick it up again. Easily the worst game I played this year, and I'm sorry to say, it's not even close.
You're a bitch.
Yeah.
This game is adorable. I won't go into much detail because there's not much detail to go into. It's a playground game. It's the best playground game I've ever played, but it's a playground game nonetheless. There's not much to do in it, but what there is to do is perfected to the minute detail. Messing with and talking to the Skull character is some of the most fun I've had in a single-player VR game in years. It's an absolute blast. Check it out. Now we're getting into the good stuff, folks. Blade and Sorcery was always a game I adored. The combat, the brutality, absolutely top-notch in all regards. And its final update that added an actual for-real on-God campaign was no different. I couldn't have asked for a better campaign for this game. The game's best part is by far the combat, and the story takes a backseat for that very reason. The campaign is essentially just kill people, gain money and intel, go into a temple, fight a giant golem in the coolest fucking VR boss fight of all fucking time, and use his crystal heart brain to gain more powers to make the next one even more fun. On paper, it feels very repetitive, but in practice, it is just... God, it's so fucking fun. Everything is fine-tuned and polished. The game is one of the prettiest games I've ever seen, to the point where some of the places I was plopped into just looked like real fucking life to me. The polish is top-notch. All the mechanics in the game are the best I've experienced, down to the goddamn swimming. This is the best VR combat game on the market, hands down. No other combat game has topped it, and I really don't know if any ever will for me. Please play it if you haven't. Please.
Recording. Space-Time Manipulator Devlog 233, the date is October 18th, 2015. They moved evac to next week, so I've had to accelerate testing. I've been refining the exotic fields in the bulb, though, and the simulations say it's stable enough for human trials. Should be perfectly safe, so long as I don't teleport into a wall or something. Still reliant on the reactor's quantum juice, so the more of that I can get my hands on, the better. Alright, here goes nothing. Ah! Oh my god! Ah! Okay, recording. Space-Time Manipulator Devlog 233, the date is October 18th, 2015.
Talking a bit out of order here because I want my favorite to be the last, but Vertigo Remastered is a masterpiece. I haven't played the original, but if it's even half as good as its remaster, it was clearly the greatest VR game of 2016, and it wasn't even close. It brings heavy Half-Life 1 vibes, but unlike Half-Life 1, it's actually really fun to play in VR. The game is also just plain hilarious. I don't usually laugh out loud when playing games, but this game got me on many occasions. The gameplay is top-notch. It's honestly more fun to control than most other story shooters, even Half-Life Alyx. It's punchy, fun, and an absolute blast to play in every sense of the word. But I must say, I would have never played it if it weren't for the last game we're going to talk about today.
Come on. Oh no. Return with fruit.
I have a new favorite VR game. Left 4 Dead has been dethroned. This game, Vertigo 2, sweet, sweet Vertigo 2, is the perfect VR game. It's what Half-Life Alyx tried to be. It's what Stride Fate's dreams to be. It's a crash course in VR design in all regards, because it is the perfect VR game. I genuinely cannot think of anything wrong with the game. It's captivating, it's beautiful, it's hilarious, it's fun to play, it's fun to explore, it's fun. In the purest form, it is fun. The characters are all written wonderfully and acted equally as such. Nothing ever feels repetitive or tedious. The game feels unique and fresh the whole way through. This game made me belly laugh for about a minute straight about 5 times. Nani is the greatest character in fiction. Nothing will ever top Nani.
Let's go down all the way to the Great Sea always must be. What a coincidence! Not neither ends of both rental service. Behold! You may travel in Nami boat for the small price of $10,000. Oh, are you poor? Shit. Okay.
The set pieces are just gorgeous. I found myself just standing there, staring at the environment so many times because I was captivated by how amazing it looks. I 100%ed this game, and to give you an example of why that's something, I have 78 games with achievements on my Steam. I have 100%ed 4 of those games total. 2 of them being short games, the Exit 8 VR and Project Borealis' prologue demo, and the last game being the other fucking Vertigo game, Vertigo Remastered. Vertigo 2's 100% playthrough requires you to play the game in its entirety at least 5 times by my count. And I played through that 31 goddamn hours of achievement hunting with a smile on my face the whole goddamn time. It was a blast from start to finish, and then kept being a blast after the fact too. I am watching this dev like a hawk, because whatever they decide to make next, it's on my radar. And that's it. There were 1 or 2 smaller games that I played this year, the Exit 8 VR port being one I mentioned earlier, but they were just too small to fit into a slot. Waltz of the Wizard just barely made the cut because of how much I liked it. There are also some other games I was unable to play yet as of writing this. On my radar right now is the Halo Combat Evolved VR mod. If I don't finish it by the time I begin recording for this video, it'll just have to wait its turn next year. You can also probably expect a lot more Quest-exclusive games next year. They broke me with Batman Arkham Shadow. I need to play it, man. This series will go on as long as I have Christmas tracks in the Payday 2 soundtrack, so that's probably a good estimate. We'll be back next year. And if we aren't, then, well, sorry, I guess. I recommend giving most of these games a shot, even Stride Fates to a degree. I'm sure one of you would like it. But anyways, I hope you have a fantastic day, I hope you had a fantastic year, and I hope you continue to have a fantastic year in the future. And if you enjoyed this video, even a little, it would really make my day if you liked, subscribed, and commented. But it's really up to you. Bye bye for now.
I can hear everything. Ah! My temple! Are you just gonna leave me lying around? You've missed 5. Loser. Oh. What's going on? Hey.